Hi, I'm Tim, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build a beautiful website using WordPress. WordPress is by far the most popular way to build a website. All we really have to do is get a domain name and hosting, install WordPress with one click, choose a page layout that is similar to a website that you want to have, and believe me, you will find one because there are a lot of great layouts. Once you've chosen one, all you have to do is click on import and the whole site will be imported. Then we can change up the images and text to your content. And then we can also add our own sections. We can either do that by choosing different widgets and customizing them for ourselves, or we can also use pre-made blocks and layouts from the Elementor page builder. We could even create background videos. Different buttons. Basically every website that you can imagine can be built with the techniques I'm going to show you in this video. And it's all a bunch of drag and drop and copy and paste. You also don't need any special software. We can do all of that on our Mac or on our PC because the software is online anyway. The website will also be responsive. So if you open it up on a mobile phone or tablet, the size will automatically adjust and the website will still look very good. If you want to learn how to build your first website and save thousands of dollars by not hiring a web developer, watch this video. I show you everything step by step with no step skipped. So now that we are ready to get started, here's our game plan. First you'll need a domain URL, which is simply the name of your website. For example, Facebook's domain is facebook.com, Google's domain is google.com, and my domain is timwessels.net. Domain names are usually paid for annually and are pretty cheap, with around $15 per year. The second thing you'll need to buy is web hosting, which is where you pay a company to use their servers. So you can store your website's data online and have your website live on the internet. Web hosting is advertised at a monthly price of about $4 to $8, but usually is also paid for in annual installments. So instead of paying web hosting every single month, you pay once for 1 year of web hosting. The third thing you're going to need is a copy of WordPress, which is totally free and available from WordPress.org. Now, there's a difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. We want WordPress.org because it offers the open source version of the WordPress platform that allows us to really customize our website to our liking. WordPress.com is sort of a light version of WordPress that is much more limited in functionality. So remember, just follow along what I do in the tutorial and you will be good to go. And that's it. Just these 3 things will get you a full custom website up and running in no time. Now here's the best part. Before, you used to have to get all of these things separately and then connect them all together. Now in 2018 or 19, whenever you're watching this, the process is a lot more streamlined. And all you really have to do is just sign up for web hosting and the rest will be automatically included. It doesn't get any easier than this. Okay, so now that we did that, we can really get into the step-by-step walkthrough from purchasing, web hosting to setting up WordPress and to customizing your own website. If you need help with any step along the way, please feel free to comment any question you may have and I'll do my best to help you out. So let's start with the first, or should I say only step, getting web hosting. In my opinion, choosing a good web host is the foundation for a successful website. You can recognize a bad web hosting company by their slow server speeds, low uptime, that means that sometimes your website will be down. Their pricing will probably either be way too high or like $1 a month. That would also make me a little suspicious. Sometimes bad web hosting companies even place ads on your website and the security of their servers will also not be that great. These are all things that you don't want in your web host. So what web hosting company would I recommend? In previous videos I recommended SiteGround, which I still do. I think they are a very great company, but I also did realize that their pricing may be a little too high for some people. Because of that, we are going to use TMD hosting in this tutorial. Now, why do I recommend TMD hosting? Well, there's a bunch of different reasons, but this tutorial shouldn't be a review or advertisement for TMD hosting. So I'm going to make this step a little quicker. First of all, you get a free domain name forever, so that cost falls away. Then we also get a free Let's Encrypt certificate, which we are going to use later on. They also use SSD technology, and their servers are really fast, especially for the price point. If you need help installing a website, which may be possible because you're a beginner, there will be a specialist that will do it for free for you. Then their support is also really great, which is important because you're a beginner and maybe you will have a question or two, so you can just chat them up or maybe call them, and their response time is really fast and they are available 24/7. Their uptime is also pretty good. They have servers all across the globe, and their pricing is also very competitive at just about $3 per month. So that's why I chose to use TMD hosting in this tutorial. In case you choose another web hosting company, or maybe already have a hosting space, that's no problem at all. You can still follow along this tutorial. Your WordPress installation process will just be a little different, but afterwards you can still follow me. To go to TMD hosting, you can just click on the very first link in the video description, or I also link them in the comments below. This is an affiliate link, so I get a little commission in return if you click on that link. Don't worry, this is at no extra cost for you, and I would never ever recommend a company or a product that I don't use or trust in. Now I will just click on that link and then we'll land on this page. As you can see here again, there's a 99.99% uptime guarantee, that's pretty good. And you can also host your email accounts on here. So that's great. Let's just scroll down a bit. And here we have the 3 different plans. As you can see here, you also have a 60-day money back guarantee on all plans. That's pretty great. Normally web hosting companies only offer 30 days. But with this, you can build your whole website, have it online, see if you like it and if you're happy with it. And if you don't like the service or if you don't like your website, you can just cancel the plan, get your money back, and it was worth a try. So I think especially for newbies that aren't quite sure yet, that's a pretty good feature. I obviously can't tell you which plan you should take. That totally depends on what you need. But in my opinion, the enterprise plan may be a little too much yet. Later on, you can always upgrade from one plan to another, so that's no problem. But let's just focus on the business and the starter plan for now. The main difference between the two is that in the business plan, you can host unlimited websites. In the starter plan, you can only host one website. And in the business plan, your server will be a little quicker, or twice the performance. But it's just a little quicker because, you pay more. That doesn't mean that the starter plan is slow. The starter plan is perfectly fine if you only have one website and don't need more. Definitely choose that. Otherwise, if you think that you're going to have multiple websites, or if you already know, or if it's really important to you that your website is really quick because maybe you will have a lot of visitors, I would say choose the business plan. It's only $3 more per month, so that's really not a lot. It's basically one coffee at Starbucks. Both deals are pretty good. I personally have the business plan. You can also scroll down here, click on compare plans and then compare all of the features. Or you can also scroll down here and see some of these facts. But I'm just going to scroll up again. In this tutorial, I'm going to use the starter plan because I only sign up for this tutorial. I already have an account. But I want to show you how to install WordPress and everything else, and afterwards I will cancel it. So I click on the starter plan, choose the one you like, and then click on get started. Awesome. In this step we can choose our domain name. The domain registration is free, so I would choose register a new domain and choose a new domain. In case you already own your domain, you can choose I already have a domain, type it in, and later on connect your domain name with these servers. But since it's free, I would suggest getting a new domain, and I will click on register a new domain. Then we can type in the domain name we want to have. Oftentimes your domain name will already be taken, so maybe you will have to be a little creative. I will just type in an example domain in here, Tim's WP tutorial, and on the right hand side you can choose your domain extension. All of these extensions on the left side are free with the registration, so .com, .net, .org. In case you want to have another domain extension, the domain will cost you something, so I would suggest staying with maybe .com, .net, .org, .us or .eu, because those are the most common ones and seem to be most trusted. I will just try .com right now, but you can also choose any of these. So I click on .com and then I click on search. And perfect, the domain isn't taken yet. Here we can sign up for the account. So here you fill in your email address, your password, and here you can confirm your password. Obviously it's important that you save this data because later on you will have to log into TMD hosting with this account. Here you just fill in some basic information, so your first name, last name, your street address, city, your zip code, country, company, and that's it. Here's your payment information, so you can either pay via credit card, PayPal or bank transfer. I will fill that in later on, you don't need to see of that. And here we also have the purchase information. Hosting services, location. Here you can choose which server you want to have your website hosted on. In my case it says Amsterdam because I'm located in Germany and that's the nearest server next to me. But we could also click on that and choose another one. Maybe you're in Asia, so you could take Tokyo or Singapore. Maybe you're in Australia, so you could take Sydney or any of these other servers. I'm just going to choose Amsterdam. Then we also have the payment period. The longer you choose to pay upfront, the cheaper your hosting gets monthly. So as you can see, if you host for 3 years, you get it for $2.96 per month. If you only host from month to month, you will have to pay $8.95. I would suggest choosing at least a year because you have your 60-day money back guarantee. In case your website should not work, it will most likely happen in the first 2 months. So I don't think it's really useful to choose a monthly payment plan. I will just choose 12 months, but if you already know that you're going to keep your website for a longer time, maybe 2 years or 3 years, you can also choose that and save a lot of money in that process. I'm just going to choose 12 months. Now we scroll down again. So domain registration is free, we want that. Oh, and by the way, later on I will have a coupon code for you that will also save you 7%. Domain registration is free. And domain privacy, I don't think that's really necessary. I didn't have any problems yet, so I will uncheck that. Turn it off. Perfect. I will check that nothing of this is checked. I don't think you need all of that. And then we can scroll down. Here, promo code. This is a little gift TMD hosting gave me. Normally TMD hosting affiliates only get a 5% discount code, but I wrote them and they gave me a 7% discount code. I don't know about anyone else having a higher code. If you find a higher code, definitely shoot me an email or write in the comments down below and I will get back to TMD hosting and make the code higher. But this promo code is called TIM7, so TIM and the number 7. And if we click on apply, we save $4.16. Then we also have to agree to the terms of service, privacy policy, which we obviously always read, and then we can click on complete order. I'm just going to finish all that up here, and then I see you on the other side. Perfect. Now that we finished the ordering process, 2 things will happen. First, you will get redirected to this account dashboard from TMD hosting. In case you don't get redirected to this account, you can also just open up TMD hosting and log in. The second thing is that you will get 2 emails. One is your order confirmation with some important details. For example, your server data, your cPanel login and your customer login data for TMD hosting. So I would make sure to save that email. The second email is your domain registration confirmation. So maybe you should save that too, but this one is not as important. Okay, so what's the next step? First of all, congratulations. We did the first 2 steps, which is getting a domain and getting hosting. Now all we have to do is install WordPress and start designing our page. So let's just do that. To install WordPress, you just have to click on here where it says Run Services. You could also just go to Services and then click on My Services, because maybe your dashboard will look a little different. I will just click on Run Services. Here's my service, and then I can click on Manage Product on the right. Once we're in here, we can just scroll down a little bit until we see this cPanel. We can just click on that. You can also open up the cPanel via the link that is sent to you in the order confirmation email. So if you can't find it in here, just go to the order confirmation mail and open that link in there. Okay, so once we're in here, we can just scroll down until we see this blue WordPress icon. And then we can click on WordPress. And here we can click on Install Now. Choose the version you want to install. 5.1 is the newest one at the moment for me. I will just let it as it is because that's the most newest one. Choose protocol. This step is really important. As you can see here, it says HTTP. If we look, for example, on this page, in the top left it says HTTPS and there's a little lock on the side. This means the page has an SSL certificate installed and the data is secured. In case we would install WordPress without an SSL certificate, Google would rank your site lower and oftentimes your visitors couldn't even load your page because Google will block it. This is simply a safety measure from Google, but it's really important that we install an SSL certificate. So, in case it doesn't automatically say HTTPS in your case, which it didn't in my case, which is pretty good actually because I wanted to show you how to install an SSL certificate anyway. So, if it doesn't say HTTPS from the beginning, click on this and choose HTTPS and click out. And in this case it says a trusted SSL certificate was not found. If it shows that sign, we have to install an SSL certificate. Sometimes it may work by just choosing it, but in this case we don't have one. So we can actually go back into the cPanel, scroll down until we see security in here, and then we have to click on here, Let's Encrypt SSL, this blue lock. Click on that. And down here you can choose your domain, in this case timswptutorial.com, and click on Issue. This can all stay like that. We don't need a wildcard, and then we choose HTTP1. That's okay, and then we can click on Issue. Now we have to wait a second. And perfect, an SSL certificate was installed, and now we can go on with the WordPress installation. Like I said, it's really important that you install an SSL certificate because otherwise you will lose a lot of visitors, and it's free with the host anyway. So now that we did that, we can go back into the cPanel, scroll back down to WordPress, click on WordPress, click on Install Now. And as you can see, it automatically chose HTTPS. Here we choose the domain, in this case timswptutorial, that's right. And directory, we leave that blank, so delete that, that's also important. Site name, site description, if you want to, you can change your name. For example, in this case, the name is Softaculous and the site description is Softaculous WordPress. We could change that now, but I will also show you how to do that in the WordPress dashboard. Okay, admin account. This is also important. Admin username, I will change that because the word admin itself may be a little too easy to guess or to hack. So I would change that up, but I would also not choose your first or last name because that's also too easy to guess. So just go in here and choose something else. I will just leave it at admin because later on I will delete that installation anyway. Okay, admin password, this just says pass. I would also change that up because that's way too easy. Make sure to have a safe password in here. Admin email, I would also change that to your private email. Now choose language. Select language, here it says English. You could also choose any of these others, but I will keep it in English. Select plugins, we don't need any of those. Advanced options, we can open them, but I don't need that. and select a theme. We also don't want any theme, so just leave that unclicked, and then we can click on install. Now this may take 3 to 4 minutes, so I will skip ahead. Perfect, now WordPress is installed. To open your WordPress installation, we can just open the administrative URL that is linked in here. So I'll just open that in a new tab. And by the way, don't worry if this doesn't work right away. Normally it will take a few hours until your domain is really registered, just because it takes some time, and then it will also take some time before it really works. I would try installing WordPress just like I did, directly after signing up. Maybe it will already work, sometimes it does, but like I said, sometimes it just takes a couple of hours, so if it doesn't work right away, don't worry, that's completely normal. So this is your WordPress dashboard. Congratulations! I will just make all of this a little smaller, so I click on dismiss and on these little arrows, and now that already looks way better. We can also close this client area and Softaculous. If you ever want to come back to this page, all you have to do is fill in your domain name /wp-admin and search for it. Then you can log in with the admin data that you just set up in the installation process. This is the WordPress dashboard. If we want to take a look at our site, we can hover over My Blog or your website name and then click on Visit Site. As you can see, this page doesn't look very good yet, but that doesn't matter because in a few minutes we will customize it. Some web designers take about $90 just to get to this step, which is totally ridiculous considering how easy it was for us. On top of our site is this admin bar. Only we can see this because we are logged in, your users won't see this bar. Okay, so let's get back into the WordPress dashboard, do some more settings, and then we can start designing our page. So I'll just hover over My Blog and then click on Dashboard. The first thing we'll do is change our admin name. So we go to Users and All Users, click on our account and then scroll down until we see Nickname. And there I would write my first name, in my case it's Tim, and display name publicly as Tim. That just makes it a little harder to guess your admin name, because otherwise it would be public. Then we scroll down and click on Update Profile. Perfect. In here you could also change your email, for example, or also set a new password. Now we click on Settings and on Permalinks. And here we choose Post Name. Then we click on Save Changes. Awesome. Now we go to Plugins on the left side. You probably ask yourself, what are plugins? Good question, and it's also really important because you will use them a lot. Plugins are little pieces of code that were written by professional coders that allow your WordPress site to have different functionalities. For example, your WordPress site won't come as an online shop or with a contact form by default. But by installing certain plugins, you can add those functions to your WordPress site. Later on, we will also install some more plugins, so you will see what I mean. But in this step, we will actually delete the plugins that were installed in our WordPress installation because we don't need those. So after we click on plugins, we can just hit this checkbox on the top, go to bulk actions, click on deactivate, click on apply. Then we hit this checkbox again, click on bulk actions, click on delete and click on apply. Then we click on OK. Perfect. And all of those were deleted. Sometimes when installing WordPress, different web hosting companies will install plugins with WordPress because they have partnerships in order to make some more money. It totally depends on what web hosting company you chose. Sometimes they don't even install any plugins, and sometimes they install a lot. In this case it were only 3. That's also no problem at all. We just deleted them in this step because we don't really need them and they take up some space. So we just delete them and everything's good. And by the way, those first steps that I just did, I will just follow them, especially the permalinks, setting up your admin name and deleting those plugins, because those are just some basic settings that you should always do when starting a new website. The theme of your WordPress site decides what your page will look like. Right now, our page looks a certain way, and after installing a new theme, your page will look a totally different way. Every theme also allows different kinds of customization, so it's very important to choose a right theme. In this tutorial, we are going to use the Astra theme. In order to install a theme, we can just hover over Appearance and click on Themes. Here we already have 3 themes installed, and we can just click on Add New. There's tons of themes available. Many of those are also free. Some of them are freemium, which means that you can only use a limited version of the theme. In this video, we are going to use the Astra theme. So I can just search for ASTRA. And here we have Astra. We can also click on it to see the details and preview it. It still doesn't look very great, but we're going to make it look great. If you want to follow everything that I do in this tutorial, you should also install the Astra theme, because otherwise you can't really follow everything we're doing. Click on Astra and then we can click on Install. And after it's installed, we can click on Activate. Awesome. Now we installed Astra. We can just X out of that. Why did I choose exactly this theme? There's 2 great reasons. The first reason is that we can install whole sites on this theme. And the second reason is that Astra allows us a lot, and really a lot, of options, especially for a free theme. In order to install whole sites, we will also need a plugin. So we can go to Plugins and Add New. And then we can search for Astra starter sites. It's this one, and then we can click on Install Now and on Activate. And as I said before, plugins add functionality to your site, and you will see the functionality of this plugin in just a couple of seconds. But before we install a whole site, we will have to delete some pages. So we can go to Pages here on the left side and click on All Pages. With the installation of WordPress, it already generated a sample page and a privacy policy. We don't need those now, so we can just check the box up here again. Under Book Actions, we can go to Move to Trash, click on Apply, then we go to Trash, click on this checkbox again, Book Actions, Delete Permanently and Apply. Now we're starting on a clean site. In order to install a whole site, all we have to do is hover over Appearance and then click on Astra Sites. Here we have to select our favorite page builder, and in this tutorial we're going to use Elementor. So I click on Elementor. Very awesome. Now we can just scroll through these and take a look at them. Some of them are labeled agency, which means that they are an upgrade and you would have to pay for this design. But a lot of them are also free. We could also just choose free up here. Perfect. All of these are free. You will definitely find one that is at least pretty similar to the website you will want to have for your business or blog or portfolio, whatever. You can just scroll through here and find one you like. Maybe we can take a look at garden and maintenance, for example. See what it looks like. A lot of pictures. There's also not just one site, but multiple sites, so you would also install an about page and a services page, even projects, for example. So those pages can look really great and save you a lot of time, because you don't have to do everything from the start. I will X out of this one again. And maybe in this tutorial we're going to choose Sierra Natural Park. Yeah, I like this one. If you decided, we can also take a look at the tablet or mobile version by clicking on the tablet symbol or on the mobile symbol, and it still looks very great. That's nice. Even with this menu here. Perfect. So we go back into the desktop mode, and if you want to install these sites onto your website, all we have to do is click on Install Plugins in the top. This will install all these plugins. So for example, Contact Form 7 will add a contact form. Elementor is a page builder. With this one, we can later on customize the whole site to our liking. Okay, and now that these plugins are installed and active, we can just click on Import this site. I will say OK. Now this process may take up to a few minutes, so I'll just skip ahead. But just so you know, you don't have to choose this design. As you saw, there's a ton of different designs, so I'll just choose the one that is most similar to your dream website and then import it. Awesome, now it's imported and we can click on Done and View Site. Perfect, with a beautiful footer down here, awesome pictures, a great menu. We can also click on the About page. Even those counters, different buttons, services. This looks awesome. I really like this page. And now we can go on and customize it in the next steps so that it fits to our company or our message. There's also a contact form down here, so in case any of your visitors want to contact you, they can just fill it out and send you an email. Now let's get back to the home page. And as I said before, we can customize all of that. Let's just click on Customize in the top right here. This is your customizer. In here you can do some basic customizations for your website. In just a few minutes I will also show you how to customize your site with the Elementor page builder, but let's just do some of the settings in here first. We could start by adding a logo or our company name. So we can click on Layout, Header. By the way, your header is the top part of your website. Like the head is the top part of your body. And the footer is down here, like your feet. Then we can go to Site Identity. As you can see, currently the logo is called Sierra Nature and you can't really see it, but it's in the top left of the page. You could remove it or change the logo and upload your own logo. I will just do that with an example logo from my desktop. So I clicked on Change Logo, click on Upload Files, select Files, then I select the logo from my computer. Once it's uploaded, I can click on Select. And then I click on Skip Cropping, and as you can see, this is the logo right here. This was probably not the wisest choice because the logo I uploaded has a white background, so it isn't transparent. And that doesn't really look good, but it's just an example. And we can also go into the logo width in here to make it bigger or smaller. But since that doesn't really look good, I will just remove the logo and we don't have a logo in here anymore. What we'll have instead is our company name. So in this case it says site title, my blog, and the tagline is my WordPress blog. If you don't have a logo but want to have your site title and tagline displayed in here, you can just change the text. Normally site title is your company name. In my case I will just write create a website. And under tagline I will write learn how to create a website. We can't see this right now because this and this checkbox isn't checked. So I will check this checkbox and check this one too. And as you can see here, create a website and learn how to create a website are in the top left of our website. Nice. We can also make an inline logo and site title, but that will only show in case we have a logo. So we could just select this one once again, skip cropping, and now we have our logo and on the right side of it there's our company name. In this case that doesn't really make sense, but that's how you could have your logo and your company name in one piece. We can also uncheck the inline and then it's only the company name. So I can just remove this one once again. Awesome. We can also select a site icon. This will be the little icon that you can see in the tab. Right now it's just a file icon, but if we would open YouTube, for example, it's this little icon up here. So if you maybe have an icon, you can always select an image, go to upload files and upload the icon. Then we can go to publish to save everything. Then we click back and back once again and once again. Now we can go to typography and to primary header. Here in font size for the site title, we could make it bigger, or we could make it smaller again. And we can do the same for the site tagline, or smaller again. And we can go back once again, and then we can go to colors and background, go to header, transparent header. Here we could change the color of our site title. So for example, we could make it black or pink, any color we want, but I like it in white. We can also make a background overlay color, so we could have it in green, so your header won't be transparent anymore, but for example green or blue, pink, whatever you want, but I like it transparent, so I'll clear it again. You can also always make a color more transparent by shifting that right piece a little down. So it will just be a little bit of color, but I will clear it. Awesome. We can also go to link active, hover color, and select, for example, yellow. And if we hover over one of the links, it will change the color now. But I will also clear that. So that's how we can work on the site title. I like it that way, and then we can publish it. Awesome, and now I'll X out of it. There are a bunch more of settings you could do in the customizer, but this is all we want to do for now in this tutorial. If you want to get in-depth knowledge about the Astra customizer settings, I would definitely recommend googling Astra customizer, and you will find a ton of results that will show you everything in detail. And now we can get to the really fun part, which is editing our page with the Elementor page builder. So let's just do that. Click on edit with Elementor. In my case, there's a pop-up. I'll just click on got it. Awesome. Now this is the Elementor page builder. It's built up kind of similar to the customizer that we just used. On the right side, you have your page and basically a little preview of your page. And on the left side, you have tons of different widgets and options that you can work on. But before we really go into the design here, I want to show you some basic things we can use in the Elementor page builder to save some time. To see a preview of a page, we can always go on this eye in the bottom here. If we click on it, we will see a preview of the page. Then there's the responsive option. If we click on this desktop icon, we can choose what we want to see on the right side. So for example, if I click on the tablet option, the page will be set to the tablet size, and as you can see, it's still responsive. Or we could also click on mobile, and then it is in the mobile size. That's a really important part, because you always want to make sure that your page is mobilely optimized. But we will also get into that in a few minutes. Then we get to the revisions. I'll just click on desktop once again, and if I click on this history icon, we have two options. We can either choose actions, or we can also choose revisions. Since I haven't done anything yet, we don't see anything in here. So let's just go up here, and I just change the text of this header, for example. I click in it, delete something. Perfect. So now we did something. And if I click on this icon once again, here we have actions. So if I click on editing started, the last action we did is gone. We can also click on this action again, and it is back. We could also go into previous time marks in case we updated our page, and then you could also choose a certain time of editing. I'll go back into actions. Perfect. Then there's also the navigator, but we won't really use that. And on the left side, you can also do some basic Elementor settings. So title of your page is home in this case. You could also change that. Status, we can change that. Featured image, we don't need that. We could go into the style, but that's all not as important right now. If you ever want to go back into the widgets, you can just click on this icon in the top right, and here we have all of our widgets. There are 3 different ways in which you can build your website using Elementor. I will just start with the first way, because in there I will show you all the basics you will need to use the second and third way. As you previously saw, we were able to just click in here and change the text. So if you ever want to just change a text, you already see, you can just click in here, and then you can either on the left side change the text, or you can also just start typing and change it in here. The main editing will be done in the left side here. It's always content, then there's style and advanced. Let's just start with content. In the top, you normally just fill in whatever you want to edit. In this case, it's a simple text. Then you can oftentimes fill in a link. So if somebody clicks on this text, he will be directed to this link. We can also work on the size, but that could also be done in the style tab. But for example, you could make it extra large or XXL. But as you can see, that's not even as big as it was before. You could also give it a different HTML tag. In this case, it's h1 because it's our main header, but you could also give it another tag. These settings in here are mostly to save some time, but if you really want to go and change the style, we have to do that in the style tab. We could also change the alignment, but I will center it again, and then we can go to style and take a look at that. This time we can change the text color, typography, text shadow and the blend mode. If I click on text color, I can change it to another color by just dragging around or making it more transparent. I just leave it in white, but I could also clear it, but in this case I want to have it in white. Perfect. Typography, here we could change it to a different font. So I want to have Arial, for example. And by the way, I would not use more than 2 different fonts because that can look a little bit distracting. So just use between 1 or 2 fonts. Here we could also work on the size. So we can make it bigger or smaller. Let's just say 115. This is in pixel. You could also use one of these other measurements, but I will leave it in pixel. Then there's the rate. Right now it's set to bold, but we could also make it normal, default, or one of these others, but I would leave it in bold. Transform, we could also make it all lowercase, uppercase, capitalize it, or make it normal, but I will leave it in default. Style is default, we can also make it italic or oblique, but let's just leave it in default too. Line height, since it's only one height, we won't really see it, but we can make some spacing here. Let's just say we have a little higher size, so it's 2 heights, and if I make the line height higher, you can see that there's a lot of spacing between it, but that's not as useful right now. So I'll go and make this size 114 and make the line height a little lower, and perfect. We could also edit the letter spacing to make it a little bit wider or a little bit narrower. Okay, I'll just leave it at, I don't know, 3. Then we could also go into the text shadow, so that there's a little shadow in the background. For example, if we make it blue, maybe you can see it that there's a little shadow. I could also make it less transparent, and then you can see, I hope you can see it in the video, that there's a blue shadow, but I think you should see it. Maybe if I change it to green, yeah, you can see it. I'll just make it a little gray again, just a little bit. Like that, for example, or I'll just click on default and it's back in the default setting. Then we can also go into advanced. Here we can change margin or padding. Maybe you have heard of margin or padding before. These two are basically there to change the width and the height in this box or out of this box. So let's, for example, make this a percentage. If I fill in 20 at top, it goes down by 20%, and also to the right, bottom and left, because this was not unchecked, link values together. If I delete 20 again, this is 0, and maybe I can unlink the values, and then I fill in 10 for example, and it goes a little bit lower. I could also make it 0 again and work on the padding. So maybe I want to have 15 pixels and 30 there. These are just some settings I will play around with a little bit until it looks good. Just remember, if this is checked and you fill in 15 for example, it will also make 15 to the right, bottom and left. So I make it 0, 25 and 0 again. Awesome. We could also give this an CSS ID or CSS class, but I will show you what that is later on. You could also fill in a motion effect. That can actually be pretty cool. So right now it's set to default, but let's click on fade in or fade in down. Yeah, I like fade in down for example. Animation duration is normal. We could make it slower or faster. I will leave it in normal. And in the animation delay, we can say, for example, after 1000 milliseconds, it will start to load. Okay, but I will leave it at 200. We can also go into the background, but in this case it doesn't really make sense to have a background, so I won't show you that, but I will show you that later on. Then we also have borders. So if I fill in 20 for example, we won't see anything because in this case it also doesn't make any sense, but you will see that later on too. We could also go into custom positioning, but that is actually not that good if you want to have a responsive website, so I would recommend not using it yet at least. Then we also have the responsive option. This one is really important. I will also show you that later on, but in case you ever have a widget or a whole area that doesn't fit into your responsive site, so it either doesn't look good on your tablet or on your mobile phone, or maybe it looks good on your tablet and mobile phone but doesn't look good on your desktop, you can click on hide for any of these and then it will not show on this device. That's actually really great, especially for a free page builder. Then I click on that again, and here we have custom CSS. This is only available with Elementor Pro, so if you want to buy it, I will also link it in the video description and comments. It can be useful. I don't know if you necessarily need it in the beginning, but it's definitely not a bad purchase. So I can click on that again, and I would just go back into the content and write something else. Maybe learn how to make a website. Something like that. Awesome. And if you did some changes that you want to save, always click on update. That's very important. Perfect. Now it's updated, and let's take a look at our website by clicking on this eye. Awesome. And as you can see, learn how to make a website, just fade it down. I'll go back into the website, and I don't like this welcome to. So I just right click and then I can click on delete and it's deleted. Perfect. Then I click on update once again, can update the page and it's gone. Awesome. Remember, I can't show you every single setting in the Elementor page builder, but I'm going to show you a lot of things, so you will definitely be able to build and customize your own website to your liking. For example, we could also edit this button here. So I can just click on it once And here we have the content once again, there's the style, and there's advanced. I click on content, so for example you could change the type, but that won't really make a change now. We can change the text in here. So for example, click here. We can fill in a link. In this case, I will actually give it a link. So link, and this is something that will work later on with the CSS ID and CSS classes. Link is hashtag more. Perfect. Then we could also align it differently again. I just leave it in large, for example, and we can also choose an icon. For example, I want, well, what do I want? Maybe this. An arrow circle down, and then I can decide if I want it before or after. I can make some more space between it, like this for example. And I could also give this button an ID, but we don't need that yet. As you can see, there are always a little bit different settings every time you change it. So I would just click through here. Most of them are pretty self-explaining and you will probably get them. We can also get into the link options here and say that it has to open in a new window, but we want to open it in the same window. We could also go into the style, change the typography, for example. In this case, I want Arial once again, make it a little bigger, like that. Everything else is okay in my opinion. I could also change the text color to black, for example. Background color, I could change that too, but I like this red. And I actually also like the white, so I leave it in white. But what we could do, this is the normal color. We can also go to hover. And if you hover over here, nothing really happens. We could change the background color to white and the text color to this red tone that I didn't copy yet, which was not as intelligent. So I go back into normal, click on the background color and copy the hex code. Then I can go to hover again and text color should be this red. And if I hover over it, it changes. So now it's in white background and red letters. I think that's pretty cool. We can also give it an hover animation, so maybe it should grow a little bit if you hover over it, or one of these others, but I like grow. And the rest is not as important. We could also go into advanced, but we don't need that now. And then I can update it. Awesome. So that's how we edited this button. I click on this again. Awesome. What else can we do? For example, I want to have this header below the button. So I can just go into this area and drag and drop the button over the header. Doesn't really make sense, but we could also switch it up again by dragging and dropping the button down below. What else could we do? Let's say this button should look the same way as this one. Normally you would now have to click on this and then edit this button to make it look the same as the one above. But we can save a lot of time by just right clicking on this button and saying copy, and then we can right click on this button and say paste style. And now we have the same style in here as in here. Awesome. And here we could also drag and drop it somewhere else. We could also always duplicate something, for example a button or this header. We can delete it. We could also reset the style, but then it's just a plain button in this case. So maybe I want to undo that. So what I can do is go to history and click on button removed. And now we have it back. Now these are just some of the basics we could do. What else could we do? For example, I don't like that the button is so close to learn how to make a website. So what I can do is right click in here, click on edit button, go to advanced, unlink it, and then give it a top margin of in percent of, let's say 10. Yeah, for example 10. And now it's down there. Then I can update it again, go back to widgets. Awesome. This is how we can edit the things that are in here already, because we use layouts. As you can see, you can edit all of this, just click in there and then edit it. You can then go into style or advanced, but I think you should get the idea by now. Now I want to show you what we can do with the link that we put in here. So this says click here, and the link says #more. If I scroll down to About Us, for example, I can click on this icon to edit the whole section. And then I can go to Advanced and give it a CSS ID called More, because in here the link is called More. Then I can update it. And if I click on this side, update it once. And if I click on click here now, it automatically scrolls down, because the link in here links to this section. I think that can be a pretty cool effect. Now let's get back in here, click on widgets, and let's start and not just customize the content that is already given, but add something to it. So maybe I don't like this whole section, so I can click on X and it is gone. And now we can add a new section. So we can click on this plus. And here we can choose between 1 row, 2 rows, 3, 4, 1/3 and 2/3, 2/3 and 1/3, and so on and so forth. In this case, I want to have 1 row. And as you can see, it's just 1 now. We can also edit this whole section and not just the single content in here. So let's just do that first. Here in layout, we have content width. This says boxed. We can also choose full width. And now it goes from side to side and isn't cut off partly. For now, this is good. Style. Here we can fill in a background. So maybe we want to have a section that is kind of similar to this one, for example. Here we have different options. Again, normal and hover. Let's just start with one color. We could click on classic and then choose a color, for example green. And as you can see, this is simply a green background. We can also clear it again. And we could also choose gradient, which is 2 colors. So for example, purple and this pink. And as you can see, it goes from purple to pink. Let's just go back into layout once again. And in content height, let's go to fit to screen. Then we can go back to style. And here in gradient, as you can see, it goes from purple to this pink. We could also change the location a little bit, so that it starts a little more here. And as you can see, if they are pretty close to each other, this isn't really gradient anymore. But we could also change the angle and make it more gradient again. Something like that, for example. Change the angle a little more. So these are just some things you could play around with. We can also go back into classic, delete that color and use an image. So I can click on image and plus. Here we would have to select a file either from our computer, or maybe you already uploaded your pictures. Then you can select them from your media. I will just go to upload, go to a site called Pexels, which has free stock photos, and just search for surfing, for example. Yes, maybe I want to use this one, and then I can go on this arrow. We definitely don't need the original size because that's too big, and if your picture is too big, it will take longer to load your site, which is not good. So make sure that you don't take too large pictures. In this case, I think large should be enough. And then I can click on download photo. It will be downloaded, and yeah, now it's downloaded. I can close this again, go back in here, click on select files, choose the picture from my computer. Here we have it. Click on open. Click on insert media. Now it actually already looks good, but maybe your picture won't look right because it's not centered. So you can go to size and click on cover, and now it actually looks better. Awesome. We could also do something else, which is fill in a background video. So I can click on background video, and here we can simply fill in a video link. So I visit YouTube, search for GoPro Surf, for example. Maybe I like this video. Then I can copy the link, fill it in here, and let's say the start time should be 25 seconds and end time 56 seconds. And now whenever someone is visiting your website, this video will load up in the background. In case you use a background video, it's really important to use background fallback, because sometimes the video won't load, maybe because of slow internet, or on mobile sites it will also not load. So this fallback image will be the background image then. So I can click on plus and choose this one, for example. Awesome. So if I would delete it again, you can see this is the fallback image. We can fill it in again. Great. We can also use a background overlay, which is simply an overlay over that video or image. So for example, we could use classic. Here you could also fill in an image, then click on color. Maybe we want it a little bit more blue, so I can click on this bluish color. Make it a lot more transparent so that it's just a little bit blue. Maybe like that. Perfect. So that's already the background. That's also all we need now. Maybe I'll give it the CSS ID called surf, and then I can click on update. Click out of this again. Perfect. Click back into the widgets. And now we have this background video. We can also take a look at it on our preview page. And if we scroll down here, we have this background video. That's actually pretty cool. What could we fill in here? Now we can use widgets. So what do I want to have in here? Maybe we want to start by putting in a header. So I can just click on this header and drag and drop it in here. I just click in here, and then we can change the heading text to, for example, surfing is our passion. And now I could work on the style and make it look good. Or I simply save some time, go up here, right click on this section, click on copy, and click on paste style, and now the style is already duplicated. Then I can click on it once again and maybe change up some of the things. For example, in advanced, I want a different motion effect, so it has to zoom in. Then we can go back into the content. Maybe you could fill in a link or something else, but I think this already looks pretty cool. Then we can go back into the widgets. And what do I want now? Maybe I want a divider to be between this widget and another widget. So I can click on divider and drag and drop it under here, paste it in, and as you can see, there's a little black line. And here we can edit it now. The weight is simply how thick it is. So let's make it a little bigger. The width is set to 100. Maybe I don't want it from left to right. So maybe let's make it 50 and center it. We can create a bigger gap between it, so above and below it there's a little bit more spacing, but I don't even like that as much in divider, so let's make that smaller. Then we can edit the color to be white also. We could also go into advanced to give it some more space, just to the top for example, but I also don't think we need that. And then we can go back into the widgets. And what do I want below this header? Maybe I want a counter. So I can drag and drop it below here. Starting number is 0, ending number is 247 for example. Number prefix and number suffix, we don't need that. Animation duration, here we can set it to how long it should take to count. This is in milliseconds. I think 2000 is okay. In case you have thousands, you can say whether you want to show the 1000 separator or not. In this case, it doesn't matter. Here you could also change the separator from a dot to a space or default. And we can give it a different title. For example, happy students. In case you have a surf school, why not? Let's get back into the style. And here we could also copy it, go in here and click on this, and then go paste the style, and happy students now is right, that's already good. Number, text color, let's also make it right. Typography, also make it Arial, a little bigger, like that. And title, typography, Arial, and also make that bigger. Like this for example, or just like that. Then we could also go into advanced, make it a lower padding, and by the way you can also go into the negative to make it even higher. Awesome, I think that looks pretty cool. We could also go back into the content, but I like that, and then go back into the widgets. Let's just update that once and update that page to take a look at it. So we can also click here, scroll down, click down here. Surfing is our passion, 247 happy students, and this video loads. I think that's pretty amazing, especially if you consider that it only took like 5 minutes to do something like that. I scroll up again and let's see what else we can do. I'm also gonna be honest with you, editing this video with this video background is pretty hard, so I'm gonna delete it again. So I go into style, background video, and delete the link and just leave the picture. But you learned how to do it. Let's get back into widgets and let's just make one more example area, and then we can go on and I'll show you the second way. So let's go to plus, and in this case I want to use 2, and as you can see here, there's a plus and there's a plus. The whole section is boxed in this case. We can leave it that way, and then I go back into the widgets. This time I don't even want to have a background color, white is okay. And now we can decide on different things. And so maybe this time I want to fill in an image. So I drag and drop it in here, choose the image. I just choose one from the media library. Let's say this one, go to insert media, choose medium large, no, medium, yeah, medium, or medium large. Yeah, medium large is okay. Alignment, centered is okay. Caption isn't really necessary. We can also fill in a link here. But all I want to do is go into advanced and give it some more space to the top. But you know what? No, I'm gonna do that in here. So I click on this section, advanced, unlink it, top, %, and no, 20 is too much. 5? 8. Yeah, 8 is okay. And then I can click on update. And maybe in here I want to have text. So I click on plus and choose text editor. Here I could simply write something, or I can also, in this case, go to lorem ipsum, choose 50 words, go copy it and fill it in here. Then I can go into style, alignment, centered, left, right, justified. I leave it in left. Text color, I would recommend to not use a complete black because that doesn't look so great. So leave it in some kind of gray. Let's make it Arial again and a little bigger, something like that maybe. Yeah, that's okay already. So that's just to show you that you can also fill in 1 or 2 in here. We could also use an inner section, so we would have in one of those sections 2 separate sections. So if I drop it correctly, here we can fill in a new thing, for example an icon. And here we could also fill in a second thing, a star rating for example. So these are some things you can definitely play with, and as always you can then go into content, work on all that, go into style, work on all that, or go into advanced and work on all of that. Awesome. So that's how you can build your website by using the page builder, either from scratch or when editing the layouts that we installed in the beginning. The next step is to either use blocks or Elementor layouts. We're going to create new pages for that, and then I also show you how to edit these pages for the header menu. Oh, and by the way, what we did in here for the homepage, I will update it once, can also be done for the about or services page or projects or whatever else. You can always click on edit with Elementor and then work on all the stuff that is going on in here. Awesome. I'll just go back. Perfect. One really important aspect in today's day and age is that your website is responsive. Responsive simply means that it still looks good on your mobile page and on your tablet page. To test that out, we can click on this icon down here and then choose either mobile or tablet. Let's just choose mobile first. And as you can see, learn how to make a website is much too big, for example, and the rest looks kind of okay. This is too big too, this is too big, this is too big. That's okay. That may also be a little too small. Let's start in the top. I'll scroll up. To make this smaller, we can simply click on it, and here we have the content again. Then we can go into style, go to typography, make sure that this mobile icon is selected, and then we can work on the size. Let's see. Yeah, 35 looks good. Then we can click on this button, make it also a little smaller. So go into the style, then we can go to typography. Here we also select the mobile version again, and under size we can try to make it a little smaller, something like that. You could also do some more settings, but I think that's already enough. You could also go into advanced and lower the margin, for example, but I think that all looks okay. Then we can go back into content, scroll down and see what's next. Here we could also make it a little smaller, so go back into the style, typography, make sure that the mobile version is set, and choose one like this, for example. Scroll down, I like all of this. Maybe I think that 3 pictures are too much. So what I could do is, for example, I don't want the last picture and the last text. I could just click on this. Then I can go into advanced, responsive, and say hide on mobile. Scroll down and do the same for the text and the header. And now we can still see it because we are in editing mode, but if we go out of this, you will see that these are only 2 pictures now. Awesome. Then we can go back in here, scroll down further, and this text is also way too big, so I can click in here, go to style, typography, it's still the mobile version, and then scroll a little up, make it something like that, for example. We could also go into advanced, give it a little margin. Then we can go to 247 happy students. This is also too big. Go into style, typography. Maybe this size. Go to title, typography, and also make that smaller, maybe like this. And then we can scroll down. I like the picture, I like the text, and I think the rest is all okay. So then I can go to update, go back into the desktop mode, and as you can see, it's still the same size in here and in here. So nothing has changed except for the mobile version. That's pretty great. So always make sure that your page is responsive. If you work with a lot of layouts and blocks, this will be a lot easier for you. It's not very hard at all because Elementor does a great job at making your website responsive, but I would still occasionally check it and then maybe do some editing like we just did. And by the way, I obviously didn't explain all of these widgets, but that doesn't really matter. If you have one that you want to use but don't really understand, just Google, for example, video widget Elementor, and here you see there are like 9 different tutorials. There's a blog post, there's a blog post. For all of these widgets, there are thousands of tutorials, so you won't have a problem in finding out stuff about the Elementor plugin. Great, now let's edit the contact form. So we can go to Tim's WP tutorial. Then I can click on contact. And as you can see here, there's a contact form with your name, your email, subject, and your message. We don't really need to edit it in the Elementor page builder, but in the WordPress dashboard. So we can hover over our site's name and then go to dashboard. Here we can click on contact and then on contact forms. Then you can click on contact form 1. And here we see the shortcode, and down here is the real code. It says your name, which is your name field, your email, the subject, your message, and send message. Using shortcode in the Elementor page builder is pretty easy. Let's just copy this, then open up a page that we want to edit. Let's just say, let's just do this page. Click on edit with Elementor. And let's say I want to have it here. I just search for shortcode, use the shortcode widget. Let's put it in here. And here I can fill in my shortcode. And here we already have the contact form. Now this looks really, really ugly because of the background picture and everything. And it should definitely not be on your homepage like this. But that's just an example to show you how to fill in shortcode into your website. But I'm gonna delete that again. We can leave that tab. And this is your contact form. If we go to mail, here we can configure our mail settings. This is the mail address where you will receive all of the info sent to you. So make sure to choose a right one. I will just use from. Here I would just choose WordPress @ and then your domain name. Subject is just your subject. Additional headers reply to your email, that's okay too. Message body, your name, your email, your subject, your message. And this email was sent from a contact form on and or website's name. That's all okay. And then we can click on save and just test it out once. So I go to the website, click on contact, write something here. Subject. And then we can click on send message. Thank you for your message, it has been sent. And if we open up Gmail, here we have a new email from Tim Wessels, subject, test, message body, hello Tim, how are you? Perfect. This email was sent from a contact form on Tim's WP tutorial /contact. Awesome. So this contact form also works. We could also click on this to validate our contact form. Awesome. Now that problem was also solved. Let's go back into the dashboard. And what else can we do now? Let's start and build our own first page from scratch, because maybe you don't want any of those layouts that we've just installed. In order to do that, we simply have to go to Pages and click on Add New. This is the new Gutenberg editor. In my opinion, it's not quite there yet, but if you want to learn how to use it, just Google Gutenberg editor and there will be tons of tutorials. We are going to work with the Elementor page builder, but in order to do that, we still need to add a title. So I will just call this page Why Us? And then I can click on Edit with Elementor. This footer is already imported because it's a site right footer that will always stay the same. Now we could start by clicking on plus, choosing one of those and then adding our widgets. But I'm not going to build the page from scratch like we did with the sections just a few minutes ago. What I'm going to show you is blocks and layouts. You can click on this document file and here we can choose between pages and blocks. For example, you could import a whole page. Some of them are from the Elementor Pro version, which is paid, but some of them are also free. By the way, in case you want to buy Elementor Pro, I've linked them in the video description and comments, so if you want to support this channel, please visit Elementor over this link because it's also an affiliate link. Let's just say I want to choose this page, for example. I can click on it, take a look. Okay, maybe I like this. Then I can click on Insert. And now we have a whole page inserted in here. Now we can just go in here and edit the stuff we want to edit. Maybe delete some sections that we don't need. For example, we don't need this whole section. We can change the pictures, background colors, and everything else, just like I showed you before. Maybe you also don't like the whole page. What we can do then is reverse it by going on history and click on editing started. Perfect. Now we can click on this document again, and maybe this time we want to use blocks. So I can click on blocks, and here we have hundreds of different sections for your page. Up here we also have categories. Let's just start by using about, for example. Here we can choose one of those. Maybe I like this one. I can click on plus, then I can click on insert. Then I could, for example, change the text to about us, write something in here, change the button hover color to this pink. We could also change the image to maybe this one, insert media. Okay, I like this. Then we could go on document again, go to blocks. This time maybe a call to action. This one, insert it. Then we could also go in here, edit everything, or we could also, for example, copy the style again and paste the style, center it again, and then we have the same buttons in here. Then we could add another block. Maybe this time we want to show some of our testimonials, and here we also have some pro blocks, but let's just choose him. Go to insert. Maybe I want to change the background color of this whole block, so I can go to style, background color, make this purple, publish. You can do that with tons of blocks. You can also just drag and drop them here, but these layouts and blocks will save you a ton of time. There's actually one more option we can use, which are our own templates. I'll just show you one example. We edited the background color of this block, so now it's our own design. What we can do is right click, click on save as template, give it a name. I call it purple, then I saved it, X, then I'll update the page once and reload it. And for example, here I can go to my templates, and here we have purple. Now I can click on insert, yes, and here we have this template inserted again. Now this doesn't only work on our Why Us page, but whenever we create a new page, for example, if I go to services and go to edit with Elementor and go to my templates, I can also insert purple, yes. That's pretty great, especially if you have one design that you would like to use on multiple pages on your site. This will save you a lot of time. But we can close this tab again because we don't really want to work on this. I think that's okay like this. Just one more example on how to use blocks and layouts. Then we can update the page. And as you can see in the header, we don't even have an Why Us page in here. So let's do that now. In order to do that, we can go back into the dashboard. Then we can go to appearance and menus. Here we have our main menu, and on the left side we can choose which page we want to have in here. We already have the home, about, services, projects, blog and contact page, but let's add Why Us. So we check this box, click on add to menu, and down here we have Why Us. If I save the menu now and take a look at our website, you will see that Why Us is in here too. But Why Us is not all capitalized as the other names. So what we can do is click on this arrow, navigation label, and work on that, for example. If you want to, you can also link different posts or custom links, or even different categories. So custom links after normal pages will probably be the most used one. Here you can fill in a different link. For example, you could link your YouTube channel or something like that. If I save the menu now and update the page, you will see why us is capitalized. Maybe I also don't want 7 pages in here, because that may be too much. So what we can do is, let's say why us should be under about. So I can drag it in here and then drag it to the right, save the menu, update the page, and if I hover over about, there's why us. The only problem is that if we don't hover exactly over it, there will be a white background and we can't see it. So let's click on customize. We can close this tab and work on some more settings in the header. So we can go to colors and background, header, transparent header, then go to submenu, and under submenu, background color, we can make it transparent, and if we hover over it, we can now see that it's transparent. That's perfect. Then we can go to publish, go back once, go back again and once again. And here we have this take action button. If we want to edit this, we simply have to go to layout, header, primary header, and last item in menu is button. Here we could also choose none, then it's gone. We could choose search, then you could search here, or we could also use button. Change the text, for example, I want contact, but also capitalized. And the button link is simply /contact, because my contact page can be found under that link. Maybe if you link another page, you will have to search for the link. It's simply after your domain name. Then if you want to, you can also go into the button style, choose a custom button or the theme button. I just used the theme button. Then we can go back and back once again and back one more time. Publish that. And now we have contact twice. So I will delete that contact once. So we can go to menus, menu, under contact, we can go to remove. Maybe I also want block over projects. So I switch that up and then I can click on publish. Awesome. Now I can go back once again and once again. And now we want to edit the footer. To do that, we click on X, go to our dashboard. Then we hover over appearance, go to header footer builder. Here we have the site footer. There we can click on edit, edit with Elementor. And now we can edit the footer. So we could change the text, copyright 2018 timswptutorial.com. Then we could also edit this one, powered with love, or we could also simply delete it. Then we could edit this text, or this, fill in different links, change our address, and we could also change our email address or normal address, or add a different item, for example a link with a different icon. There you can basically fill in everything you want. You can also delete them, use a different layout, so inline or default, but in this case it doesn't make a difference. As you can see, the hover color on these links is also red. We could also go into the phone number, change it up. So there you can really do a lot. And we could also change the background image. For example, we want this one. Then we can go into the background overlay, make it a little less transparent, or whatever else you want. You learned what you can do with the Elementor page builder. It's not that hard. Always make sure to update it. And if we take a look at our page now, the footer is also updated. So that's perfect. That's already all I really want to show you in this tutorial. Remember, Elementor, Astra and WordPress are used by thousands and thousands of people. So if you ever have a problem or need a tutorial for something specific, just Google it, you will always find an answer. Otherwise, you can also comment down below and I will do my best to help you out. After watching this video, you should have enough knowledge to start your own website, make it responsive, build some cool elements. I would also recommend using layouts and blocks because that will make your life a lot easier and they are already given, so why not? Simply customize them afterwards and then you'll be good to go. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe because it helps my channel grow. Remember my coupon code TIM7 at TMD Hosting, and if you have any other questions or video recommendations, just let me know in the comments and I will see it. Bye.